Hi, how's it going? Today I'm going to be teaching you how to build holograms for AR in the web. So, an introduction. First of all, who am I? So, my name is Ollie Tyler and I'm the Augmented Reality Development Lead over here at Poplar Studios. So I work on stuff like our internal tools, our client advice and prototyping. You may have bumped into me around the Poplar community channel on Slack, where I've been helping out and advising on projects. I've been in the augmented reality and interactive advertising space for years and have previously worked with companies like Zappa to produce AR campaigns. So, what is a hologram? What are we looking at today? So technically, a hologram is a 3D projected image/video. However, now we have access to AR, we can create amazing quality holograms using tools such as web AR. I was inspired to put this together after the crazy hype around the hologram that Kanye West gave to Kim K of her late dad. I wanted to show how something like this could be replicated in tools that are widely available. So let's just have a look at this video here. So what tools are we using today? Today we'll be using Unscreen, the free version, Premiere Pro, which is a paid app, but however, they've got a free trial that you can use, and Zapworks, which is free to use for personal use. First topic of discussion, green screening. So, making green screens accessible. So to get started with a hologram, we need some green screen footage. A few years ago, this would require an actual green screen. However, nowadays, there's tools like Unscreen, which allows you to get a green screen footage straight from a regular video. This comes with some limitations, of course. I wouldn't recommend it for commercial projects. However, for personal projects, this works a treat. I'll give you a quick demo on how to use Unscreen now. So the first tool we're going to talk about today is Unscreen. And what this allows you to do is turn footage like this, which is really bad. It doesn't have a lot of contrast between the background image and the foreground image, and turn it into a full hologram. So here it is. All you need to do is upload that original footage, like the one I had before, drop it in, and then it will start to prepare to upload it. And as you can see, it's already cutting out my image pretty well. It has a little border around it, a little halo, and it cuts out just as well as a green screen could, or in most cases. Now you just want to go and select color, because this is actually meant to be swapped out with stuff like city footage. Go to color and select your green screen. And there we go, you have your green screen footage completely free and without even having a green screen. You can then just click download on that. It will set it all up for you, encode it for you, and you should have a download. There we go. So what we can do is this spits out a GIF because it's the free version, but genuinely take this and drop it into a converter like EasyGIF, and you will have straight away an MP4 video that you can download and you can use that footage instead. There we go, here's our MP4. So now that we've got our amazing green screen footage, I'm going to run you through the editing of this. So first of all, we're editing for Zapworks. So the AR engine we're using today is called Zapworks, and that requires green screen footage to be pre-edited in a certain way before importing it over. This is because it essentially splits the video up into two parts, the color part and then the alpha part, and then it uses that to mask out the hologram. I'm going to show you how to do this in Premiere Pro. However, similar editing tools exist as long as they have chroma key, green screening tools like that. Most of them do. Let's make our footage. So we're in Premiere Pro now, and I've just opened up a completely blank project. There's nothing in it, and as I mentioned before, this is a paid program. However, we do have a free trial available, so we may as well take advantage of that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to drag in this unscreened footage that we took, the MP4 version, into our timeline. And as I mentioned earlier, you need two sections of this footage. You need the color and you need the alpha. So what we're quickly going to do is hold down the Alt key on our keyboard and drag our unscreened clip on the timeline up, which then duplicates it and creates two different versions of it. Now this is hidden behind each other because obviously the footage is the same width. So let's change the footage, let's change the width and actually see if we can reveal both of the footage next side by side. First of all, I'd like to let you know you need to note down these digits. This is the 360 by 632 horizontal and vertical width and height. They're worth noting down. We can use them in Zapworks later, and also they're going to be used for some quick maths that we're going to do right now. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to double this value. So we're going to type in 720 because that's double 360. But then on the side, we're going to note down what 75% of this number is. So in my case, it's 540. And then what 25% of this number is, so that's 180. This is super useful because this gives us the exact values where we should position our color and our alpha channel. Let's click OK. And there we go. Now we just need to position the footage. So first of all, I'm going to click on this in our bar, click on our effects controls panel, and position this over to 540 as I mentioned before. I'm going to do the same with my bottom one. Select the bottom and type in the position, which will be 25%, which is our 180. Amazing. So as you can see, we've now got our footage side by side. Looking great. Perfect. So now we need to add the actual chroma keying on. In Adobe Premiere, it's called the Ultra key. So if you type in Ultra key, you should be able to get it up. And what we can do is we can drag this onto both our clips. So our top clip and straight down to our bottom clip as well. Cool. Now on our right, I usually like to use this as the alpha and a left for our color. So if we just select this top clip, which is our right clip, we can select a key color just by pressing this eyedropper here. Click on the green and then change the output to our alpha channel just to get the alpha footage. Now we could leave it like this, we could export it like this and it would work. However, Unscreen likes to make a little bit of fuzziness around the green screen, which doesn't really work when doing alpha channels because it's just a solid cutoff. It's either white or it's black, and that either is rendered or not rendered. So let's select the bottom one, which we also added an Ultra key to, and key it out just by doing the same thing before, selecting the eyedropper next to the key color and selecting the back. Now we can change the setting to aggressive. I like to choose a setting just because it adds like a nice little halo effect, which is very sort of science fiction-y, very hologram on brand. We can now click on file and just export this footage. We're all done. That's it. That's all it takes. So what we want to do is we want to export this as H.265 and make sure you keep the sizing the same as the source. But as long as you've done that, then we're great and we're ready to move on. Amazing. There we go. We've got all our footage ready and now we just need to put it together. So making the hologram, we're ready to chuck it all together in an experience. So let me just run you through the setup, the code and some polish you need in order to run your very own hologram. Welcome over to Zatworks. I've just made a completely blank project and I've just dragged our hologram footage that we made in the last clip over to our MP4 video section. So if you drag it over this import media files library, then it will import. So we don't actually need these scripts in here. These are more for just bootstrap projects. So if we remove that, we can remove the orientation controllers at the bottom as well. We're going to keep this display because it may be useful later. Let's drag in our footage. Amazing. Now we have on our footage, you should see this little checker mark in the top right hand of the screen. So we can just ignore this for now and make our two textures. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take this video, put it onto two textures that are separated into halves. So as we mentioned before, there's a half and a half, our color and our alpha. So we need to separate these out into two different materials, however, still keeping it using the same video so it's all synced up correctly. So let's make a transform texture and name this one alpha. And let's make another one and let's call this our color. We can then add our hologram footage onto both of this by changing the texture over to hologram footage and our color over to hologram footage. Now we can play this little checker box and pause it, and we should be able to see it in our preview of our alpha texture and color texture. So as you can see, this is showing both for each of them. So how do we reposition it and rescale it so it works well? So first what you're going to do is you're going to change the scale on our alpha to 2. And that stretches it out, so double the width, which then in turn means we can have one of the footages take up the entire thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a -1 to that, just so we show the first alpha image. And we can do the same on the color texture. So scale is 2, but this time we're showing the color footage, so we need to position it as 1. There we go. We've had it all masked out. There we go. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to combine these textures using one as the mask and one as the color by just going over to materials and adding a material. This can then take in the values skin and mask, which I'm sure you can guess what both of these do. So we change the skin over to our color, and we change our mask over to our alpha. We also need to change this mask alpha channel to R, just so it syncs up and changes and actually changes the mask. Let's drag in a plane. So the plane is included in all default scenes. You can drag it in. It's just basically a flat one-sided texture. It's just a one-sided mesh, sorry. And you can set the material down here to our material. We can do the same thing again and just play this video so we can actually see it. And there we go. I just paused that for a second. But that's our hologram. It's on screen, and it is, I do look a bit wider than usual, but let's just see if we can give it an edit to make it look really good. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the plane that we made, go down to scale, and I'm going to type in dot, and then the height and width value that we recorded down earlier. So I'm going to dot 360, and then dot 632. Perfect. And as you can see, this is perfectly scaled. I don't look wide anymore. I've just rescaled this by choosing the scale tool, by the way, and scaled it proportionally. But as you can see, I actually am my right dimensions now. Next, what we can do is we can actually train an image target. So obviously we don't want our hologram to be stuck to the screen, because otherwise it's just a green screen footage. We want this to be fully tracked to the screen. I mean, to an image. So if we click this plus button, we can train an image file, drag in our target, select flat because we are actually placing on a table or the floor. And then we're just going to let this image train. This is just making sure that it tracks perfectly and works really well. Also, you can use any tracking image to test on. I'm literally using a piece of art that I have on my desk. So it's just good for just good to know for testing purposes. Amazing. Our target is trained and our scene has gone white. Don't worry, this is just because the video has reset and then restarted, so it's just gone to a black plain texture like before we played the video. Let's drag on our target. So as you can see, our target's here, but it's stuck to the screen still. So what we need to do is drag our plane straight onto our target. There we go. It's looking a bit flat. Let's see what we can do about that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add a shadow to the end of this. So if we just take this and instead of picking it up and moving it about first, what we could do is we can actually duplicate this one. This will be our actual color texture. Then we can turn it upright just by either going to the rotation, turning it like this, or easier to get it more accurate, go down to the bottom left on rotation and setting the rotation to 90. We can then go to the positioning tool and position this so it's positioned perfectly. Let's have a look. And right at the front, so it's sitting up, just so it makes a sort of backwards L shape. This will be really useful for our shadow. Just before we get started and we go and actually test this footage, let's quickly add some darkness to the shadow, because currently what it will look like is this, which looks great. It's all tracked, it works well. However, this is not a shadow. So if we just go over this plane, what we can do, let me just move this plane above this, because just for rendering order purposes. So this, the shadow renders below the actual image itself. Let's select our plane, turn the color all the way down, and then we can turn the transparency to something like 0.5. This should then work great. Let's have a look. Amazing, we've got a really realistic, nice looking hologram. It looks great. Let's test this out. Welcome to my phone. As you can see, it actually tracks and it looks pretty good. It's tracking pretty well. However, the video isn't playing, so it's just stuck in the first frame of this video. So what can we do? How can we make this look more realistic? Also, it sticks to my screen still when I go away from it. How do we stop something like this from happening? These are just the further quick things that scripting needs to fix for us. So hopping swiftly back over to the computer, let's see if we can add a script. So right click on the root node, click new, script, and add a blank script. This just makes an empty script for the project that we can then fill with stuff. Let's think about the 3 events that we need to look at. So first of all, we want something to happen when the target's seen. We want something to happen when the target's not seen, and we also want something to happen when the hologram footage is complete. We want to restart. So what we can actually do is just drag straight over from this target image, hover over, go to add an event handler, and add the scene. We can then go down, do the same thing, drag over, and add an event handler which is not seen. We do the same with the hologram footage. You can drag over and add an event handler which is on finish. Amazing. This is now prepped for us to fill it with things. First of all, what I'm going to do, just for ease of use, for our convenience, I'm going to go over and I'm going to drag the hologram footage to the top of the script and insert it as a local variable. We can then rename this to whatever we want, so we can, let's just say it's our hologram. And we now have access to our hologram straight as a variable, so we don't have to type out the full symbol.nose.hologram footage every time we're typing it in script. So what do we want to do when the target's seen? First of all, we want to go to the hologram and we want to restart it, and then we want to play it, or start it even. What do we want to do when it's not seen? We want the hologram to stop or pause. What about when it's finished? We want it to restart. So let's go hologram.restart.start. Then to fix the sticking to the screen when we go off screen and back on, we need to use this display node. So what this display node does is hide and show what you're looking at. And we can just use this simply by dragging over the shown to when it's on scene and clicking activate, and hidden when it's not seen and activate. This should be all the code that's needed. It's very simple, and you can even just copy and write it down straight from here. Let's have another preview. Zap code all scanned. Let's have a look what this looks like. There we go. There I am waving. Let's go off. Disappears. Comes back and disappears. Perfect. As you can see, it's repeating, so when it gets to the end, it repeats itself. And we've got a nice looking hologram there. So, as you can see, it's fairly easy to build your own hologram and make it look great. But what are some further considerations? What would you have to do if you want to take this to the next level? First of all, deepfaking. If you really want to go full Kanye, there are some amazing deepfaking apps available that allows you to use a photo of someone else and sort of control them as an avatar. The one I use the most is called Avatarify. So we use this around the office a lot, where we can take a photo of each other and just basically mimic it and make it come to life. You can integrate this at the start of the workflow we've talked about today. So just before the initial video stage where you drop it into Unscreen, and this should turn out amazing. So another further consideration you can take is using the billboarding tools in ZapWorks, which basically allow you to point a group at the camera and just add a slight turn towards the camera as you move around, and it adds a really great fake 3D effect. It gives the hologram a really good overall illusion of being 3D. Thank you guys so much for coming along today. I hope you had a great time and I hope you learned a lot. I would love to see all of your holograms in the Slack channel. If you have any questions, if you have anything, just drop me a message on the Slack community channel and I'll make sure to get around to you.